Chef Buck here, and today I'm going to cook up a very easy French chicken dish called Chicken Chasseur. Now, I've made this dish with skin-on chicken, and it's super delicious, but I've sort of gotten away from using the chicken skin, so that's a choice you can make. This is a very versatile dish. You know, if you like chicken skin, knock yourself out, but you can also use skinless, boneless chicken if you like. I'm using thighs. I like thighs for this recipe, but you can use any kind of chicken you like. But the first thing I'm going to do is heat a skillet up, and I'm going to do this all in one pan, and I'm going to heat me up a little bit of oil. So once the oil in our skillet is heated up, I'm going to go ahead and take my chicken thighs, and these are pretty much at room temperature. I've had them sitting out for a little bit, and I've cut them in half so the pieces are just easier to handle. And I'm just going to flour each side of the thigh, and I've just got this flour seasoned with a little black pepper, no salt. I'm going to lay it in the skillet. Now, if you were using skin-on chicken, you'd put the skin side down first in the skillet. I'm going to go ahead and give my chicken just a couple minutes on each side. You know, I want to get kind of a nice light golden brown. And I got my skillet a little crowded, but that's okay. I ain't scared of no crowds. And I went ahead and reduced my skillet down to a medium heat. That's enough color right there. Once my chicken's got a little color on each side, I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the skillet. Now I'm going to chop up my mushrooms to go on my skillet. And I like to use nice chunks. So I'm buying whole mushrooms, and I like to use baby bellas. But you can use any kind of mushroom you like. But anything you can cut into big chunks will be nice because it'll add a nice texture. And mushrooms cook down a lot. So starting with some big pieces is a good idea. Now these are good sized mushrooms, but they're not ginormous, so I'm just going to chop them into some quarters. And I'm going to put the mushrooms right back into this skillet that's flavored with this chicken. I'm not going to add any oil, and I want to put the mushrooms in here first because the mushrooms have a lot of liquid in them. So I'm going to give these mushrooms some time on their own. Just saute them up and cook some of this water out of here. Now my mushrooms have cooked down quite a little bit. A lot of the water is cooked out of there. So I'm going to go ahead and push them to one side, and I'm going to throw in a little bit of finely chopped onion. And I'm just going to give this onion a couple of moments here to soften up. And I'm going to add in just a wee little bit of finely chopped garlic. And I haven't added any more oil to this skillet than the amount that I first put in here when I was cooking this chicken. Now I'm going to put in a little bit of tomato paste. And you can really be flexible with the amount that you put in here. You can make it as tomatoey or not tomatoey as you like. I probably got about 3 tablespoons right here. And I like to add the tomato paste in at this time so that I can stir it around in the skillet for just a few minutes, for just a couple of minutes, and get a little color on my tomato paste. Just darken it up a little bit in this skillet. Now some of these ingredients are starting to stick to the bottom of the pan here a little bit, but that's okay because I'm going to deglaze it with a little bit of white wine, kind of a dry white wine. And I like these little bottles of white wine. They're great for cooking. We just want to stir it around and let this wine cook off. Look how dark that tomato mixture is now. So now I'm going to stir in 2 cups of chicken broth. I'm going to turn my heat up and bring this up to a simmer. And I haven't added any salt to this dish because I knew I was going to put that chicken broth in here. And that chicken broth already has plenty of salt in it. But you can definitely salt and pepper this dish to your taste. So now my pan is simmering. And I'm just going to let it simmer away for a couple of minutes before I put my chicken back in here. While my pan's simmering, I'm going to go ahead and chop me up a little bit of parsley. I'm going to throw a little bit of parsley into my simmering skillet. And then I'm going to put my pieces of chicken back in here. Alrighty, doesn't that look delicioso? Just kind of bubbling away, delicious chickeny flavorful goodness. But now we're going to turn the work over to the oven. So now I'm going to take my jam-packed skillet full of delicious goodness and I'm going to slide it in a preheated oven. I'm gonna let it cook away for about a half hour. And then we'll take a peek at it. Beep, 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 beep. So I have had this in the oven for about 35 minutes. My alarm went off about 5 minutes ago, but it took me a few minutes to get my camera set back up. Look how perfecto that looks. Now you could just spoon this out of here into a bowl if you like. But I'm gonna go ahead and get my chicken out of here and kind of make a nice presentation. So I get all my sauce and mushrooms stirred up with all that chicken flavor. And if you wanted to, you could serve this dish with some rice, or you can just serve it just like this here. It's going to be very filling and flavorful. This is a dish you definitely want to give a try. Sort of looks fancy pants, but it is surprisingly easy to make. For the taste test part is really where I need a camera girl to help me out. So tender and delicious. Definitely want to use the thighs for this recipe. This sauce is so decadent. And it's a little tomatoey, but I didn't go crazy with the tomato paste. You can definitely add more or less depending on how you like it. But, you know, browning up the tomato paste in the skillet a little bit, you know, before you go crazy with the other ingredients, before you add in the chicken broth. I mean, getting that little bit of color in the tomato paste, it's a great idea. This is definitely one of those dishes where I could just stand here in front of the camera and eat this whole plate. I've made this with the skin on, bone-in chicken thighs, but if you make it with skinless and boneless thighs, I mean, it's just as good. In fact, it's better, you know, if you're like me and you're getting away from eating all that chicken skin. I mean, this is just easier to eat. It's quicker to cook, tastes fantastic, doesn't have all that chicken fat, you know, from the skin. You know, this is a seemingly fancy French chicken dish that is surprisingly easy to make. And you can definitely tinker around with the recipe, you know, give it a go. I'll have a link down below. It'll take you over to myfoodchannel.com. You can check out all our recipes over there. We appreciate you watching. Leaving a comment, subscribing, blah, 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 blah. Like I always say. And I always mean it. We really appreciate the support. So thanks, and we'll see you in the future. Bye-bye. Well, could I wake you up in the morning with this here?
Don't wake me up in the morning. Helpful hint. I thought we'd already gotten through that.
All right. Well, I'll try to remember that.